I'm Jacob from the Sustainably Yours Homestead, and today I'm at my mom and dad's house, and they have some sweet potatoes growing. Several places. There's some here, some in a little container, over in another flower bed, and then some more out in the garden. But I just dug up my sweet potatoes. I had just a few growing in a small container out beside the garden, and they didn't do very well. I really couldn't keep the rabbits away from them. Every time they would start to grow a little bit, I would come out and they would be gnawed down to the ground. So mine didn't do so well. Here's what they look like. Little babies. This one's the biggest one. And I got a few, but they're all, dump them out on the ground here. They're all pretty small. So I was kind of curious to find out what my parents' sweet potatoes ended up looking like. While we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and dig a few of them up and make a quick comparison. I think I'm gonna start down here. These, so she planted them in this little container, and I think they kind of vined their way down. So I wanna start at this end and see if maybe they re-rooted themselves in any spots. Looks like here's a place right here. Okay, I'm gonna dig that area up and see if there are any potatoes down there. Uh-oh, ow. What is that? That hurt, Charlie. No potatoes there. Probably gonna have to get into the container to find any actual potatoes. That right there is about it. We'll set that off to the side. Right in here, let's check. Uh-oh, hey, look at that. There's a little baby potato. Move it on down a little ways. Here's a spot where it kind of dug down. There, a little potato. And see, these are just areas where the original vine made its way, escaped the container and dug down in the soil. And these potatoes are about the same size as the ones that I had in my original containers. Whatever. I'm not very good at growing sweet potatoes, so what? We may have one here. Something anyway, let's see. Oh, I broke it. Uh-oh. That one was an okay one. Picked it up in clear daylight, and I snapped it. There we go. There's some more in that. Ah! There's a good one though. Look at that. Well, I have traced these vines all the way up to their original container. If I'm going to dig down in here, I'm going to have to put my phone down. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll be back as soon as I find out what we have. Well, I decided to just dump the entire container out. We'll dig around in here. Yeah, still pretty small, right? I mean, all of these would still be perfectly edible. Toss something like that in a stew or a roast, heck yeah. Looks like that may be about it. I don't want to damage these vines too much because I'm going to try something with, oh, look at that one. Hello. That's a good one right there. That's the star of the show so far, huh? That one looks different. That's a different color than the rest of them. I'm not really sure why. Okay, so it looks like this is what we pulled from the little container there. Let's move out to the garden. Let's do a comparison, because I'm wondering if maybe the fact that they're in a container restricts their size. And then they have a small garden plot out here. We can see sweet potatoes are planted all in the center there. So let's do some digging and see what we have in an unrestricted growing space. And right off the bat, I went to one of the smallest plants that I saw sticking up, and this was growing right up under the surface. And that rivals, really, any of the potatoes that we've been pulling out of the containers. Okay, I'm gonna put the camera down and do some digging, and then we'll be back. These are the potatoes, the sweet potatoes that we just dug up from the open garden space. Some of them got pretty decent size. We still had some that were fairly small. We'll compare that to the potatoes that we pulled from the container. And in all honesty, the ones in the container were growing in much better soil. So all things considered, I don't know, I'm wondering if maybe that container does have an effect, because these, like I said, were growing in poorer soil, but on average, they're a bit bigger. Got one more spot to check. Here we have some sweet potatoes that are growing in an open area. It's a flower bed, really, but there's also gonna be much better soil in here. So here we should get the best of both worlds. I'm interested to see how these sweet potatoes turned out. Well, there was not a lot going on in there for all of that foliage. These are all the sweet potatoes that we got. Now there was this one, this was a big one, but it was sticking part way out of the ground, and it looks like something came along, probably a squirrel. There are a lot of squirrels around here, and took a nibble out of it. That would have been the big one right there, but something has eaten part of it. So the final comparison, these are the ones that came out of the small container. These came out of the garden with fairly poor soil. These came out of the flower bed with good soil. And these little babies were mine from my container. Just a little flower pot, and the rabbits chewed it down all the time. So I guess moral of the story is we're not very good at growing sweet potatoes, but that's not going to stop me from trying again next year. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. If so, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Leave us a thoughtful comment, and if you're interested in following along as we continue to try and turn our home into a homestead, then be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll know when to be back for more daily, sustainable living.